People have been doing this piercing for thousands of years. It's even been mentioned in the Kama Sutra. Today, we're talking about the Apadravya piercing. Another extreme piercing, the Apadravya, which is basically just vertical through the head of the penis. Now, the Apadravya has been performed for thousands of years, but it got its current name in the 70s from Doug Malloy. The Apadravya piercing is going to start out at the base of the head of the penis, and it goes straight through the urethra, through the center of the top of the head. Now, this piercing is going to be done with a barbell, and traditionally, I like to do a minimum of a 10 gauge. Anything thinner than that can have a ripping and tearing effect, so make sure it's a minimum of the 10 gauge. There are some people who can veer it off to the sides if you wanted to have two of them, but traditionally, one through the center. Now, another thing to keep in mind is you don't want to go too crazy with the beads on this one. Make sure it's going to be large enough to where it's not going to get pulled inside, but at the same time, don't do any prong ends, fancy gem ends on there, because that can be really, really uncomfortable. If you want to fancy it up, maybe use a titanium barbell, and you can anodize and change the color of those beads. The Apadravya piercing doesn't have a lot of issues. The biggest issue is that it takes a long time to heal, and you're going to need to abstain from sexual activity until it's healed all the way up. So if it hurts, don't. You need to wait till it doesn't hurt. The other issue people are going to have is that we're walking around and there's a lot of movement in this area, so you need to check those barbell beads to make sure they stay nice and tight. Of course, wash your hands before you touch your piercing. And of course, clean undergarments, and if you have issues, talk to your piercer. This piercing is typically going to be healed up in 4 to 6 months, but can take much longer. A lot of this has to do with sexual activity and hygiene. So keep it clean, keep those crusties off, and hopefully you'll be one of the faster healers. If you've seen my video on the Amplang piercing, you know this can be pretty extreme. What do you think the Apadravya does? Let's check it out. Absolutely. Now, you can see how it's teetering on the top. The reason it's teetering on the top like that is because there's two different ways you can get this pierced. You can do the full piercing, or you can get it pierced with a Prince Albert. If it's already pre-pierced, you're only piercing through partial, so it's not going to be all the way up at the top. But if you're getting it all, yep, it's going to be real painful. Real painful. This is an extreme piercing. Yeah, it's a little painful, but still one of my favorites. So if you're considering it, it is totally worth it. Now, as I mentioned in the last section, if you already have a Prince Albert, you're almost halfway started. That piercing is halfway there, and it's where the piercing actually starts. So it works really well to use that existing hole and just continue up. So if you have that, that's a nice addition you might want to add. If you liked my video, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you all in the next video.